welcome back to my corner of the internet. Today is Wednesday, which means I've got a book talk video for you guys. But before I do, I have to take a moment because right now I'm sitting here. It's a little chilly, but I've got a very lovely mug of delicious tea all the way from Hawaii because today when I went to check my mail, I got a surprise package from my dear friend here on YouTube, Marie. Marie, you made my day. It warmed my heart so much. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't check my mail, go to my car, and then immediately open the box with my keys, because I did. And it just made my day. I'm now on my second mug of lavender, chamomile, and mint tea, a Maui original. I have smelled this soap so many times and I cannot wait to put it in the bath. And it also, my wonderful package also came with this cargo blush in the shade The Big Easy, and I just wanted to mention it and thank you so much because it was such a sweet gesture and it meant the world to me. So thank you so much. You're a treasure and I'm so happy to know you. So with that in mind, let's get down to business. Today's books we are talking about are three of my favorite kind of feel-good books. Those books you pull out on a day when you just need something to comfort you or make you laugh or maybe make you cry, depending on what it is that you need. So, without further ado, the first book I want to share with you is called 12 Golden Threads, Lessons for Successful Living from Grandma's Quilt. And it looks like this. This book was given to me. I've got a story to tell you, okay? This book was given to me by my grandmother when I was 15 years old, and we were leaving, my parents and my sister and I were leaving the island for the first time to move all the way across the country, way up north to the Northwest Territories, to the city of Yellowknife. And right before I was getting ready to leave, she gave me this book. And on the inside it says, "To Shannon, love Nan. With love, I'll miss you." Now, my grandmother was, it's almost impossible to put into words what she was to me. I'd say a second mom, but that doesn't quite encapsulate it. She was one of the most important people in my life. And 2 years after she gave me this, she died. But anyway, she gave me this, and then the next day we were driving. It was her and my grandfather and my aunt and me, and we were driving from the small town we lived in to the city about 45 minutes away to get to the airport. And while driving there, we were almost there, you could kind of see the city off in the distance, we hit a moose. Like a big one. I don't remember too much about it. I remember the antlers coming in through the vehicle. That no one was hurt or killed is a miracle. When we got out of the car, the moose was in bad shape. Later, I heard my grandfather had his wedding band embedded into his finger during the impact. I can remember the sound of my aunt who was sitting in the back seat with me, her screaming. So all of this happened, and in the kind of chaos of what came after that, this book that I had taken with me to read on the airplane, I left in the vehicle. So my grandfather stayed behind with the vehicle. My grandmother, my aunt, and I, a stranger picked us up on the side of the road and he drove us to the airport. And I guess, you know, when you're in shock, you're kind of just one track, like, we gotta do it. And my grandmother kept saying, like, you don't have to leave today. You can come back home and we can get the ticket another day. But I was so shook up and I wanted to leave. I didn't want to have to say goodbye to everyone all over again. And then when I got on the airplane, I remembered that I had left the book in the car, and it just felt like a slap in the face. Like, oh, I was almost panicked. I needed to get that book, but of course you couldn't. I was already on the plane. So anyway, once my grandmother came across it, she put it in the mail to me. And when it came in the mail and I opened it up, I remember opening it and little tiny pieces of glass from all the broken windows when we hit the moose fell out of the pages. And it was just a really, really weird moment, and I missed her so much. So that's kind of the story behind this book, and whenever I read it, I think of her. So what it's about is there's a grandmother and she's in a nursing home and she has 2 granddaughters, and before she passes on, she wants to teach them how to quilt because that's something that's been very important to her, and she wants to pass it on to them. Now, both of her granddaughters are kind of at very important junctures in their lives where, they're one's graduating college, the other's just become a teacher, and she uses her time with them teaching them how to quilt to sort of hidden within the lessons to quilt are lessons for life. And it's just such a beautiful book. It's so, no matter where you are in your life, I think you can read it and take something from it. And I just love picturing my grandmother in the bookstore, seeing this, and wanting me to have it. So this is one of my comfort books for sure. Next up, we have Stranger Music by Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen is, you know who Leonard Cohen is. I'm sure I don't have to describe him to you, but just in case, he is a prolific songwriter and poet. This volume contains tons of song lyrics, poems that have been previously published, plus getting tongue twisted here, plus 11 previously unpublished poems. This book, there's something so dark and smoky and mysterious about Cohen in general, and that just, it's all over in this book. And again, a little much shorter backstory behind this. My husband actually gave this to me for our first Christmas together back in 2002, I think. And we used to love to read it together. He's not as much into poetry as I am, but he would, I can remember us stretching out on the floor in our first apartment and me reading the poems to him and him just gleefully listening to them, even though it wasn't exactly what he would pick to do in his spare time, but he just listened, and he got enjoyment from my enjoyment from this book. So I love to pull that out and just reread the poems. Some I've read so many times, I don't even need to read them. They're all committed. Well, they're not all, but a lot are committed to memory. But just the act of holding it and experiencing it, it's another sort of comfort, feel-good book. And my final selection for this book talk video is a book I picked up for $1 at a library, a book sale years and years ago, probably 15 years ago now. But it is so funny. It's so funny. I think it's the funniest book I've ever read. It's one of those laugh out loud books you don't really want to read like on a bus or any sort of public area where you don't want to be. So often I'd just be laughing so hard and people would just be looking at me like I was nuts. So, and it is The Grass is Always Greener Over the Septic Tank by Erma Bombeck. She has a ton of books. This is my favorite. Erma Bombeck is a comedian extraordinaire. She writes so funnily about like life as a mom and a wife living a suburban life, and it's just so funny. She takes the little everyday mundane things and observes them and presents them back to us in ways that we hadn't thought of before that are just so funny. So if you have not read Erma Bombeck, I highly, highly recommend it. I would put this at the top of my recommendation list. Especially if you're a mom, I think you would get extra hilarity from it. But even if you're not, you can't go wrong. She's so funny. So funny. So that is it tonight. I hope you guys are having a great day. I am. I'm having a great day. And thank you, Marie, for adding to it. So yeah, I hope this finds you well, and I'll see you guys on Friday with another video. Bye, guys.